We in the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. With Rob. We in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Catch a vibe. Yeah, I'm in the studio with Rob. I need to make the heat flicker. Is alone and only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom. Gemstones on your head. Good with the OG like Flintstones. Good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how he feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influences, he ain't got to filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob. Gonna let the heat rock simmer.
I know your answer.
Hey, we just gonna go. We just go ahead and play it.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of In the Studio with Rob. I am Rob. I welcome you to the studio. And like always, I'm with my man Izzle.
Yep.
What's going on, young fella?
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, as you know, everyone, as you came on, you probably heard us laughing because that might have something to do with this topic and how this topic is gonna go. And so we're gonna put it out there. But I want you guys to do, whatever work for you. I'm just giving some information.
Remember that.
I'm just giving out some information. This might work for me, might not work for you. I don't know, but here it is. We're gonna talk about, should you share everything?
My fault, go ahead.
Should you share everything with your partner? With your girlfriend? Should you share everything with your boyfriend, your husband and wife? Should you share it all, people? Now, the easy answer, or I should say, the easy answer is yes or no. That's an easy answer. But this is so much more complicated than a yes and a no. Mm-hmm. I'm a believer in, that, there's certain things, like you got friends, right? And your best friend, whoever your best friend is, don't know everything about you. You don't tell them, or at least you shouldn't tell them everything. There's certain things, like I got partners that, this is my man, we've been cool for 30 plus years. But it may be certain things I wouldn't tell him. Like, I wouldn't tell my best friend what my sex like is with my wife, or like, oh, she this or she. I ain't giving that tape up to my best friend. I don't share it. That's like, that's something you don't. To me, I mean, I know some dudes y'all do it. Some people y'all a little strange, but I would never share that intimate detail about my wife with somebody else. But that's my best friend. There's certain things you just don't say. Now, when it comes to your friends, you got certain things you say, okay, I can't share this, I can share this. Do you do the same thing when it's your girl? And we'll talk, I'm gonna go this in segments. You got a girlfriend and boyfriend, but then you have husband and wife. We'll get to them last. So now we're gonna talk about your girlfriend or your boyfriend. What do you share, or can you share, or should you share everything? My thing is no. Look, if you're a girlfriend, you don't get to know everything about me. I'm sorry. Certain things you're going to know as we go along in the relationship. But until I know for a fact that you're going to be the one, the Mrs., then you don't get these secrets. Some of these secrets ain't for you. They for my wife maybe. And we'll talk about that later. But for the girlfriend or the boyfriend, it's like, how much do you give? You give enough so that you can see if they can handle it. That's how I look at it. It's like, I'm going to give you this. How do you handle it? Do you abuse it and try to take advantage of me? Do you use it against me? And then I'll know if I can give you more. But I'm giving you little bits of me. I'm not giving you everything. And I think that's the problem a lot of people have in relationships, is that y'all talk too much. From the door, you want to share your life history with old boy or old girl, and you like, when I was little, I did da. Or when this happened to me. Everybody don't need to know that right off the look. Right? Look, I'm sorry. Look, we gonna get to know each other a little bit, but getting to know each other don't mean sharing my deep, dark secrets. Don't mean sharing all my trauma with you, all my drama in my family with you. That's not getting to know me from the first few weeks of dating, or maybe even the first few months. Look, we're gonna slow walk this thing, because I need to know how you handle the information I give you. And I think that's what people don't understand, or they don't pay attention to it. How do you handle this information? Because if I tell you that, let's say you my boy, right? And we cool now and we friends, and I tell you, yo, man, back in the day, man, I shot this dude and he died, and he was, and then you go tell the cops. See, that was my fault, because I should have never shared that information with you.
Exactly.
There's certain things we just shouldn't share unless you was with me pulling that trigger.
You gotta be a certain level of locked in.
Look, bro, you wasn't pulling that trigger with me, or you ain't my daddy or my mama. Then I ain't telling you. Look, certain things I've done or I do, unless you was with me when I did it, you are my mama, and she ain't here no more, or you God, you ain't gonna know. That's just the way I'm sorry, I can't do that. Now, we talking about friends, and we talking about boyfriend, girlfriend right now. I just think there's certain levels to how much you share with people. And too many times y'all share too much too soon. Like, if you were, like, you in a relationship, right? And you were in an abusive relationship prior, I can understand if you eventually share that with the person you in a relationship with, because one, they got to know why you so jumpy if this happens or that. So you may have to share something, but at the same time, the level of detail, you may not give them that, especially right away, because again, people will take advantage of your weaknesses sometimes. And so I need to make sure you ain't that type of person to take advantage of my weakness. So I got to slow roll this thing with you. Don't just give up the tape for everything. And then some things people say they want to know, they really don't want to know. It's like you meet a girl, or this is really for y'all lady, and the guy say, well, how many dudes you been with? That ain't the answer. He really don't want to know that. He asking you, but he really don't want to know that it was anybody other than him. Even if you got 12 kids, he still want to believe you was the only one. But so it's certain things we really don't want to know, but we ask anyway. And it's certain things that we shouldn't know. I don't need to know how many men you've been with if you my girl. Even if you my wife, I don't need to know that. Because again, I want to think you my one. I'm the one and only. I don't need to know, and I'm pretty sure no woman wants to know that your ex was better in bed than she is. Yo, there's certain things we just don't share. You just shouldn't share, even if they ask. Yo, we're not going to talk about that, because there's no value that comes from it. There's nothing good that's going to come from me telling you who's the best sex partner I had, or you telling me how many guys you been with, or and who was better than me. No good is ever going to come from that. So we don't need to talk about it. We don't need to share that. Keep that to yourself. Maybe that's a conversation for one of your girlfriends that you and her can talk about it for the past. But nah, I don't need that. Now, I'm going to talk about this marriage thing. Because people, it's a little different. All right. My wife is going to hear this, so I have to be, so I got to be honest. So I got to be honest. And look, me and my wife have grown to be, I look at her now as as my best friend, and so we've grown to that though, because a few years ago we talked about it, and I was like, nah, you ain't my best friend. And she, it just was what it was. We grow to certain things, because it's like certain things I can share with you. And I think what happens over time, I learned that I can share my heart with her, and my hurt when I'm in pain, or when I'm feeling lost, or when I feel lonely, those kind of things that you would never say before. But over time, I've learned to share that with her, and that I can trust her with that information, and she's never let me down. So therefore, there are things there's things that I can tell her. I can tell her anything Will I tell her everything? Probably not, because it's not a value for her. So if there was occasion where it was like, oh well, this other person you used to be with, blah blah blah, would you tell me about? She don't really want to know that or need to know that relationship in those details. So no, we're not going to talk about that. It's not that I feel like, oh, I'm keeping secrets from her, but again, it don't matter. And there's no value for it. So why cause problems in a relationship? It's like now all of a sudden she feeling insecure, or maybe I'm feeling insecure because she told me something that I ain't need to know. It's like, yo, what was the value for that? Just to get it off my chest? See, some of y'all talk to make yourself feel good, but you ain't thinking about what your partner is going to feel when you tell them. So sometimes it's just better. It's like, yo, there's no value in that. But when it comes to my fears, again, when I'm lonely, when I'm hurting, when I'm feeling less than, there's no person better for me to go to than her, because she's gonna make me feel better. She's gonna either hold me through it, or she's gonna encourage me through it, or she's gonna pray me through it. But she's gonna help me get through it. There's not going to be any judgment of, oh man, you all weak now, crying and stuff. And again, it's hard for me to cry. Lost my mom, and then, I cried, a lot after that. But overall, I mean, I'm not a crier. My mom, told me a long time ago, don't no woman want no crying man. And I believe that. So I'm not a crier. But if you are sensitive, but I can be sensitive with my wife. I have no problem being sensitive with my wife and feeling and knowing that she's not going to think less of me if I am that way. But again, it took time to get there. Some of y'all, some of y'all dudes too sensitive too soon. Soon as y'all meet a girl, you ready to cry and tell her how you need your mama. You don't need your girl. So some of y'all too sensitive. But like I said, you grow to certain places and certain things in a relationship where trust is built up, and then you know what you can share with that person. But what's the value? Is there a value in sharing it? So again, Israel, if you or your wife say, okay, I want you to tell me, I don't know, let's think of something straight. Tell me, if your wife say, tell me that I'm the most important person in your life. That's probably, so hopefully, other than, you say, yeah, you and my kids are the most important. That's probably easy. But when it gets to past relationships and she want to know about past relationships, how much of that do you share? Or how much do you think you should share?
Well, Rob, can I call you Rob? Well, Rob. To answer your question, I have to ask my own. Do I love her?
I would hope so. It's your wife. I said your wife. I ain't say some woman.
I understand.
Oh, okay.
So I love her. Do I want to continue to be in the marriage with her?
Yes.
And your question was, how much do I share? Very little, Rob. Very little. Very little. Not gonna lie. Actually, I say I'm not gonna lie, but that's where I was gonna get to. I probably will lie. I might lie. I'm not. Nah. I'm just weigh the options between the question and the answer, and most of the time it's gonna come out to I'm gonna say what sounds the best. So yeah.
And so let me ask. So why would you not give the complete, honest truth? What would stop you from saying? She asked the question, you say, here's the answer. Because again, my thing is value.
Well, Rob, to answer that question, I'm gonna give you a scenario.
Okay, give me a scenario.
All right. So, you're a gambler.
I'm not, but go ahead.
This is a story about Rob the gambler.
Oh, okay.
You're a gambler. I approach you with some odds.
All right.
I say, hey, Rob, you like to gamble? You say, oh, snap, I love to gamble. Tell me. I say, here, we got a deal for you today. You give me $100, put this bet right here.
Right here.
You win, we give you $101. Now, if you lose that $100.
Okay.
That's kind of that game that you're playing when you go, why are you not going to tell them? If I tell you something about something that happened 10 years ago, you're going to feel great that I was honest with you. Wait. You're going to feel great that I was honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's that dollar. That's all you're going to feel. That's the best that could possibly happen is that you're happy that I was honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's if you're able to see past what I actually told you for
Right,
one.
right,
To
right.
recognize that you're happy that I was honest with you. But then also, let's say, again, best case scenario, that's all I get is that dollar. Worst case scenario, I lose my family. And it's just not worth the gamble. Why?
And again, it goes back to my value. What's the value in that? That $1 versus losing 100 is no value. Mm-hmm. So again, why? Again, I get you guys want to be open and honest and share your feelings, and you should share your feelings. We're talking about sharing things of your past or telling them things that happened that has no value or is not going to bring any joy or upliftment to them at all just because you was open and honest. Well, I tell her everything. Everything is not needed. Because again, you should never tell. There's nobody in your life that really should know everything. Now, there may be people in your life that know more than others. But it's something, let's say, I think I got a good relationship with my son.
Which one?
All of them.
You too?
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
So
Somebody.
even with the relationship that I think I have with them and I'm not under the delusion that they share everything with me, or if I ask them anything that they would say, well, Dad, I don't, that they would feel like, yeah, I could tell my dad that.
That's insane. I've given you nothing but the truth.
Yeah, okay, we want to talk about your life, but so what? So in reality, I mean, but it doesn't change that we have a good relationship. I have a good relationship with my father. Now, I wouldn't tell him everything. There's certain things he don't need to know. I got friends that I know, like, yo, this is my best friend, but I wouldn't tell them everything. There's certain things. Everybody don't need to know everything about you. There are certain things I could tell this one that I wouldn't tell somebody else. And there's certain things I'm going to tell my wife that I'm not going to tell anybody else. But there's certain things I'm not going to tell my wife because there's no value in that. So for you guys that think you need to share everything, you need to rethink that, bruh. And the woman or the guy that's asking you to share everything need to start or rethink. Why do you need to know that? What value are you getting out of knowing certain things? Because again, all it's going to do is either make you mad or, well, I'm just trying to see if I could be with them. You already know if you could be with them.
Being nosy.
Yeah, if you with them, you know you could be with them. Now, if you don't want to, if you're going to allow something that happened before they knew you to stop you from being with them now, then you should move on anyway. So that's a different conversation. Your lack of trust in a person shouldn't have anything to what I did back before I knew you, or even years and years. Look, we're not talking about all that no more. Mm-hmm. I believe you live in the moment as much as you can. And again, there's certain things that people go through that, yeah, you need to talk through to help them get through it. But that's a value because you're trying to help them recover from certain things. So, yeah, you may talk through it. But just to know for the sake of knowing, and then in most cases, you're going to use it against them anyway to say, well, I can't be in a relationship like that. Yo, well, go kick rocks, bro. She probably didn't need you anyway. If you upset that she had a dude before you, or that she did this before you and she slept, then you need to go find yourself somebody that say, I've been, a virgin my whole life, and I've, just woke up yesterday and I decide I want to be in a relationship. But other than that, you can't use someone else's past to say, I don't want to be with them in the future, when their present is showing you that they're a good person. Their presence is showing you that they're trustworthy. Their presence is what you did before I met you. That's between you and that person. Now, but those are things I need to be examining for myself, before I get into a deep relationship with you. Because when I meet you, then I see you, and I'm speaking from me. If I meet a girl, and you guys can look at it however you want to and take it however you want, and you got 4 kids by 4 different dudes, and ain't none of them in your life, and none of them doing nothing for the kid, I probably don't want to be in that relationship. Because that's just me though. Some other dude might be happy to be in that relationship. But I know what I can take and what I won't take. So, but I don't need to use or go back to what I don't see or don't have experience with or don't have any knowledge of to find out today to say, oh, everything we've been through, everything we've done, now I'm going to throw it away because I asked a dumb question that you shouldn't have answered in the first place. So all I'm saying is everything is not for everybody. You got to decide what you share and how much you share. But you also, as the person asking these questions, be careful about the questions you ask. And ask yourself, why do I need to know that? The next time you ask your man something, or before you even ask him, in your head, think and say, why do I need to know that? What value is it going to give me to know this answer? And if there is no value that's going to come to you for that knowing the answer, you probably don't need to ask the question.
And I'll extend the criteria for that. You can say what's the best that can happen and what's the worst that can happen. If those don't align somehow or even out a little bit, right? Just avoid it.
I know.
For what?
No, I used to always tell kids about critical thinking, and critical thinking is really just what he just said, meaning what's the best, what's the worst. You kind of lay out all those different things that could happen when you find out something or when you do something. In that situation, the same thing. Before you ask that question, come on, let's think about what's going to happen when you get the answer. Think this through from what you think the best is to what you think the worst is. And then, is it worth it? Is there value for this? And before you answer that question, you do the same thing. Before I answer this question, is there some value? What's going to happen with this woman?
For sure, the answerer should do that way before the question. You can ask whatever question you want.
Anything.
Ain't too much the bad thing can happen from asking, but answering, man.
Hey, I got to know what's the value, babe.
Man.
Why do you need to know this answer? Is this going to change it? And then, is this going to change our relationship? Because the first thing, the person that asks going to say no. Mm-hmm. But that ain't necessarily true because you don't know the answer. So what you said, your question is not going to change the relationship. My answer may change the relationship. Mm-hmm. So, but again, and it may only change it because you are insecure.
Could be.
Because I'm asking you, how many guys you been with? Now, that question is what it is. But the answer can change things based off of my insecurity. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I shouldn't ask the question because I'm an insecure dude for even asking the question, and probably even more insecure when I get the answer.
Or I could be secure and I wasn't ready for her to say 192. Sometimes you could be mad secure and you just wasn't prepared.
And so therefore, don't ask the question.
Don't set yourself up.
Don't answer. Don't answer everything. Don't ask everything.
My favorite thing to say when somebody asks me a question, like they say something, I'm like, why? And it might sound like I'm being something, but I'm not. I want to gauge the motive for your asking, because the reason why you're asking could determine if I'm going to answer.
And that makes complete sense, because again, why? Why do you need to know this? And again, if you really need to know this, and this is going to improve your life, I'm going to give you an answer. Mm-hmm. But if you just being nosy, come on now. Really? That's where we at in the relationship? We just being nosy? Come on now. That's like I put my phone down and you just start going through my phone for no reason, just to see who I talk to. Mm-hmm. Those kind of relationships don't last anyway, because there's no trust in the relationship. And you don't gain trust by finding out what I did when I was 7. That is not going to help you dealing in a relationship now. So you kind of have to say, okay, who is this person now? And over time, you will learn more about them. But the problem is most of y'all rush so much into relationships. It's like you go from 0 to 100. And so, therefore, because you rushing, you want to get all this information up front, as opposed to let's walk this out and see what we are, see what kind of relationship this is before I, again, I don't need to know what you did at 7 or what I need to know who you are at 27. And so who you are at 27 and what you did at 7, that they may have some correlation, but I can deal with who you are without judging you for what you did, because I don't need to know. So, like I said, it's a that's one of them. It's tricky. It's a tricky thing, but I just think you don't share too much too soon, and understand when you share, pay attention to if that information is used against you later, because then you know what not to share after that point. So you have to be able to gauge certain things to make sure you're doing the right thing. So with that said, we're gonna wrap this up. Hope you guys got something. You like I said, you evaluate your own relationships and figure out how it works. Ask why, and on both sides. Why do I need to know? And the other person, why do you want to know?
And lie if you have to. Make an executive decision. If you lying for the better of your relationship, it's probably worth it.
So we're gonna leave that one alone. But
it's
hey,
another conversation.
Izzo, we're gonna let the people decide for themselves. People, you decide on that one.
All right, decide whether or not it's a good idea to possibly help yourself.
There you go.
In your relationship, the woman you love, or the man of your dreams. If you want to lie to keep him or not, you want to lose him.
Whatever. Anyway, hey, we're gonna get up out of here. Izzo, what we gonna do?
Tell the people to lie. I mean, to tell their friends stuff, to like and subscribe, like and subscribe, listen,
watch and listen, all that good stuff. Get us. You can get at us on Instagram. You can get at us on Facebook, and
Twitter,
we
on YouTube.
Yeah, whatever, man. Y'all can check us out.
We gotta be on Amazon Prime a little bit.
Yeah. So y'all might want to check us out. But see, you're going to have to get a special permit. If you ain't listen to us now, you ain't going to hear us on Amazon Prime.
No.
Kind of like you got
to. subscription ain't on that.
Yeah, it's got to, you grow to that level. So anyway, we out. We appreciate you guys, and we going to bounce. So we'll talk to you soon.
Remember, he is Rob. I just look like him.
Peace.
Bye.
Studio. We in the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. With Rob. We in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Catch a vibe. Yeah, I'm in the studio with Rob. I need to make the heat flicker. Izzle on it, only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom. Gemstones on your head. Tub with the OG like Flintstones, good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how you feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influence that you ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob. Gonna let the heat rock simmer.